Hey, welcome. So, we're going to dive into a pretty powerful idea today. What if the absolute best way to build serious real world skills wasn't in some stuffy classroom, but in a game? Yeah, we're talking about using gamification to build those core skills that, let's be honest, every single organization needs to survive and thrive. Let's get into how it all works.
That really brings us to the central question here. There's this huge, massive difference between knowing the theory of something like teamwork or leadership and actually being able to pull it off when the pressure is on, right? It's the gap between knowing the playbook and actually winning the game.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to define the problem with how training is usually done. Then we'll look at how gamification offers a solution. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of building skills like communication and leadership, see how it all comes together in a team challenge, and then, this is the important part, we'll connect it all back to the real world.
So first up, the HR skill problem. Let's really dig into why so many of those corporate training programs just feel like they miss the mark.
Okay, these four things right here, they are the absolute backbone of any high-performing team. I mean, these aren't just nice-to-haves. They're the engine: communication, teamwork, leadership, and problem solving. Pretty much everything else is built on top of this foundation.
And here it is. This is the fundamental flaw. Traditional training is really good at telling you stuff. You sit in a chair, you listen, maybe you read a handout, but it almost never gives you a safe space to actually do the thing. It explains the concept, but it doesn't build that muscle memory you desperately need when things get real.
So this huge gap, it brings us to a totally different way of thinking about this. A solution through play. This is where we completely flip the script on what corporate learning can be. And the difference is just night and day. On one side, you have the old way. It's all theory. You're just passively soaking it in. And frankly, the stakes are pretty low. But on the other side, you've got gamification. It's all about practice. It demands you to be an active participant, and it creates this high-energy vibe where learning is actually dynamic and sticks with you. Now, this is the secret sauce. It's this powerful, continuous loop. You're faced with a real challenge, and you're forced to make a decision. Then you get immediate feedback, like right away, on whether it worked or not. And based on that, you adapt your strategy and try again. It's literally learning by doing, just in hyperspeed. Just think about that for a second. All those lessons you might normally learn over years of making messy, real-world mistakes, they get compressed into just a few hours of this focused, super engaging, and, key point, safe-to-fail experience. That's a massive accelerator for professional development. Okay, theory is great, but let's get specific. How does this actually look when you're trying to build one of those core skills? Let's start with a big one: communication. Okay? Picture this. You're in a scenario, the clock is ticking, loud. You and your team have just 1 minute, 60 seconds, to agree on a huge strategic decision. There's no time for long debates, no time for misunderstandings. What do you do? In that tiny 60-second window, you are forced to use real skills. You have to actively listen to everyone, filter out all the noise, and prioritize info, and then speak with real clarity and impact. And the best part? You find out immediately if you got it right or wrong. That kind of instant feedback is something you just don't forget. All right, now let's take that same pressure cooker idea and apply it to another skill: leadership. How do you actually forge leaders? Well, you don't do it by talking about it. You do it by putting them in a crisis. So let's dial up the pressure even more. Something unexpected happens. Bam, a critical resource is just gone. A competitor makes a surprise move, and now the clock is down to 30 seconds. Your whole team is looking at you, looking for direction. This right here, this is where leaders are made. In that moment, somebody has to step up. They've got to make a call, probably with incomplete information. They have to inspire confidence and rally the group to do something now. These aren't abstract ideas in a PowerPoint anymore. They're the actions you need to take to survive in the game. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? It transforms leadership from some theory you had in a book into a lived, felt experience. You feel the adrenaline, you make the tough call, and you immediately see the consequences. So we've hit on communication and we've hit on leadership. Now let's see how this all clicks together to build those final two big ones: teamwork and problem solving. And this is where it all converges. The game forces pure teamwork by creating scarcity and throwing curveballs.
When you have limited resources and unpredictable obstacles, one person can't save the day. You have to align, you have to trust each other, and you have to communicate perfectly. So that's the teamwork part. But how do you align? Well, that's the problem solving. The group has to think critically, on the fly, and figure out a way forward, together.
I just love this way of putting it. A game like this is basically a full dress rehearsal for the beautiful chaos of real organizational life. You're practicing for the real thing, but in a space that actually encourages creativity, demands speed, and, let's be honest, is a lot more fun.
Okay, let's bring it all home now. How do we make sure that the skills you learn inside the game actually translate to tangible results back in the real world? So let's be really clear about what we mean by gamified competency building. This isn't about slapping some points and badges on a boring training module. No. This is a strategic method where people get to practice skills under realistic pressure. They feel the tension, they make the decisions, and they live with the consequences. And look, this isn't just a theory. There are real-world tools designed specifically for this. The Battle of Kings simulation, for instance, is built from the ground up to create these exact kinds of high-pressure scenarios that forge those communication, leadership, and teamwork skills in a really immersive way. And so that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When you think about developing your people, are you just having them read the script of what they're supposed to do? Or are you actually giving them a stage where they can rehearse for success? Because that difference, well, it's everything.